What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole back here again, giving you guys another ranking. With the release of Spider-Man Far From Home, the conclusion to the Infinity Saga, it's time for me to give you guys a bunch of MCU ranking videos. If you guys haven't seen yet already, I uploaded my spoiler-free review for Spider-Man Far From Home and my updated MCU ranking of all 23 movies. And now, continuing on the MCU ranking list, I gotta give you guys my updated ranking of all the MCU heroes, which is 37 to rank. If you guys are new here, feel free to click that subscribe button and that bell notification icon for more reviews, reactions, rankings, and more movie content. When Avengers Infinity War came out, I did this similar ranking. I ranked all of the MCU heroes, which was 23, and now there's 37 heroes to rank. That is a lot. I'm going to try to go through all 37 as quickly as possible. I added in some other people that aren't much involved in the action, but they are heroes. They're good all around. So pretty much any character that is good all around and saves the day is a hero to me. There's also some characters that aren't going to be on this list that you may type in the comment section, like Happy Hogan or something like that. I didn't put Happy Hogan on my list. I didn't put Goose the Cat on my list. Some characters like that. If there's a character you don't hear, I just listed 37 people who I feel are great heroes and that deserve to be ranked. And also, this is a subjective list. These are just my personal favorite heroes in the MCU, so please respect that. Without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at number 37 is going to be Quicksilver from Avengers Age of Ultron, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. And before we get started, this is full of spoilers. So if you haven't seen a majority of these MCU movies, including Endgame, there's going to be Endgame spoilers here. You have been warned. The reason why he's all the way down at 37 is because he got killed off in Avengers Age of Ultron. And the hero of Quicksilver wasn't that interesting at all. I think the character was cool and all that, nothing against him. Just out of all the MCU heroes, he's definitely the weakest. At number 36 is going to be Maria Rambeau from Captain Marvel, another cool character, but we didn't get much development on her. The actress did a great job. I think she was a badass when she needed to be. I love that scene where she's talking to Carol Danvers, trying to motivate her. I think the character's cool. The actress is very talented. But with Captain Marvel 2, I really hope they flesh her character out more and give her some more awesome scenes to do. But in her solo movie in Captain Marvel, she wasn't given a lot to do. Coming number 35 is going to be Mantis from the Guardians movies. Mantis is a very funny character. Palm Clementine does a really good job playing the character. In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where she is introduced, she is the henchman to Ego the Living Planet. She realizes that Ego is extremely evil and that the Guardians need to kill him, so she joins the Guardians. And she wasn't that interested in Volume 2, she wasn't given a lot of development, but I thought she was way better in Avengers Infinity War. Her comedy back and forth with Drax and Doctor Strange was really funny. Her character could have a lot more to do, we'll see. She was one of the dusted characters. She wasn't in Endgame a lot, so maybe with Guardians Volume 3 we'll have a lot more awesome Mantis moments. At number 34 is going to be Wong. Wong is played by Benedict Wong, and I think Wong is a really funny character. I liked him in Doctor Strange. I love his chemistry with Benedict Cumberbatch. The scene where Doctor Strange is trying to make him laugh was very forced, but I thought Benedict Wong does a great job as the character. And Wong wasn't in Infinity War a lot, and I really wanted more of Wong and make him have some awesome moments. And Endgame as well, he comes at the very end, and I was hoping he would be part of the crew, try to help find his friend Doctor Strange, but maybe we'll get more of Wong in Doctor Strange too, but I think the character is very funny. At number 33 is going to be M'Baku from Black Panther, played by Winston Duke. Winston Duke is hilarious as M'Baku. What a great introduction to an awesome character in Black Panther. He's challenging T'Challa for the King of Wakanda. That combat scene between them was funny, and M'Baku seems like he could be a character to come into the battles when he's needed. just like in Infinity War and Endgame, he was barely present at all. But I think Winston Duke brings that charisma to the character, but compared to other ones, we haven't seen a lot of M'Baku just yet. At number 32 is going to be Okoye, played by Danai Gurira. I think Danai Gurira is great as Okoye. She's a passionate leader. She is so loyal to her king, T'Challa, Black Panther, and I think Danai Gurira is so badass in this role. I mean, her coming off playing Michonne in The Walking Dead, I mean, it's great casting choice. And Okoye is another character that hasn't had a lot of amazing moments. In Black Panther, she's great. In Infinity War, she barely isn't in it. In Endgame, she's barely in it. But the scenes we've seen of Danai Gurira as Okoye have been awesome, but just needs more development. Still, I love the character. At number 31 is going to be Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, played by Brie Larson. Very low ranking, and it seems like for a majority of people, because with the character of Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, I thought she was the most bland out of all the main characters. Her character really wasn't given that much development to her. She's just not that interesting of a character. I mean, Carol Danvers from the comics was powerful, but how can she be powerful if we can care about her? I was hoping that Endgame I would really have that Doctor Strange effect. I mean, I didn't at all. I mean, Captain Marvel barely was in Endgame. She was in it the first act, then she leaves, and then she comes back the final act just to destroy Thanos' ship, but that's all there is to her. Hopefully Captain Marvel 2, I'll have that Doctor Strange effect. Bringing us into the top 30, at number 30 is going to be Korg, played by Taika Waititi. Korg is one of the most likable and funniest MCU side characters ever. I mean, Korg, hey, take it easy, man. Yeah, my name is Korg and I'm made out of rocks. Just a little rock, paper, scissors joke for you. And it completely works because Taika Waititi brings his comedy to the character. I thought he was hilarious in Thor Ragnarok. He had some of the best comedic moments in that movie. And it was great to see Korg come back in Endgame. He's playing freaking Fortnite with Fat Thor. At number 29 is going to be Talos in the Skrulls. Talos is played by Ben Mendelsohn in Captain Marvel. Now, I think the Skrulls were so interesting in Captain Marvel because at the start of the movie, you think they're the villains, but they're not the villains at all. They're just desperate races of creatures that are trying to find their home because the Kree are trying to destroy their planet. And so Ben Mendelsohn had some of the best comedic moments and the best emotional moments of Captain Marvel. He honestly was one of the characters that made that movie interesting for me. I thought Ben Mendelsohn was perfect casting for Talos. And I just love the Skrulls, their abilities. They can shapeshift into any person or any object. It's awesome. I really love the comedic scenes with the Skrulls. Talos and Goose was freaking funny. The cabin joke. I mean, these characters are so interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the MCU does with them in the future. Coming number 28 is going to be Shuri, everyone's favorite tech whiz Shuri, played by the great Letitia Wright. Letitia Wright was so good as Shuri. What a likable character. I mean, she's this young teenage girl who is running all the tech stuff in Wakanda. She's creating all these great technologic weapons and all that in Wakanda. And Shuri's just a likable character. And I wish we would have gotten more moments with her, especially in Infinity War and Endgame. But with Black Panther 2, we'll probably get a lot more awesome Shuri moments. At number 27 is going to be Valkyrie, played by Tessa Thompson. Valkyrie's an awesome female hero. I love this character. She was awesome in Thor Ragnarok. Totally badass. She fought off Thor. She fought off Loki. She fought off Hela. This chick is powerful and she's so awesome. Tessa Thompson just brings the badass to Valkyrie. She brings the funny side to Valkyrie. She's drunk all the time, and all her moments in Endgame were funny as well. I love when she's just part of that fishing community in Endgame, and she gets involved in the final battle, and she was part of the Elite 8 group of women. I would love to see more of Valkyrie in the future of the MCU. Hopefully they do another Thor movie. I really hope so, because I love Valkyrie. At number 26 is going to be everyone's favorite Mary Poppins impersonator, Yondu, played by Michael Rooker. Yondu in the first Guardians of the Galaxy was extremely unlikable. He was a villain type of character, but in Guardians Volume 2, we all love that arrow whistling man. Yondu was so awesome in Volume 2. His arrow scene was one of the highlights of Volume 2 for sure. And just his interactions with all these characters. Peter Quill, he obviously abducted Peter Quill when he was a kid, but you see the backstory of why in Volume 2 that Yondu was really Peter Quill's father and not Ego. And it just leads to a perfect ending in Volume 2 when Yondu sacrifices his life for Peter. Coming in number 25 is Hope Van Dyne, aka the Wasp, played by Evangeline Lilly. Hope Van Dyne was introduced in the first Ant-Man, where she kind of despises Scott Lang because he's a criminal that broke into their house, and so she doesn't trust him. And it's just great to see Hope Van Dyne's progression from there on out. But really, her character development grew in Ant-Man and the Wasp. She became a sidekick to Ant-Man, and she stole all of Ant-Man and the Wasp action-wise, and I think her character got better from there on forth. She wasn't in Infinity War, but in Endgame, the scene where she comes back and joins that elite group of women heroes was definitely an awesome moment. At number 24 is going to be Pepper Potts, an iconic female character in Gwyneth Paltrow's Pepper Potts. Pepper Potts coming all the way back in the first Iron Man, the love interest to Tony Stark, but she started off as Tony Stark's assistant. And look at how much the character of Pepper Potts has grown all the way up from Iron Man all the way now to Endgame. She gets involved in the missions and all that. She may not get involved action-wise, except in Iron Man 3, but she's definitely a hero and is loyal to Tony Stark, and I think she deserves to be on the list. Coming in number 23 is going to be Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, another character that started off in the first Iron Man in that post-credit scene. One of the best post-credit scenes for the MCU. Nick Fury sneaking into Tony's house saying, "I want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative." Nick Fury has just been a supporting character that hasn't done much in the majority of the MCU movies. But in Winter Soldier was when he really got to do stuff. He got to kick ass in a car chase, and it looked like he died in Winter Soldier, but then he just comes back from Rising. And Nick Fury from there on out just becomes an awesome character. Samuel L. Jackson is perfectly cast as Nick Fury. I love all Nick Fury's funny one-liners. And it's great to see Nick Fury cussing because it's Samuel L. Jackson. And his development in Captain Marvel and Far From Home made the character so fun to watch. Number 22 is going to be Vision, played by Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany started off voicing Jarvis in the first Iron Man movie again back in 2008, and now Jarvis becomes Vision in Avengers Age of Ultron. And Vision was a great character. He did get killed off in Avengers Infinity War, which is sad and obvious because he has the Mind Stone and Thanos just... Even though he did die twice, but still, Paul Bettany as Vision is awesome. I loved him in Age of Ultron. His introduction was great. Him lifting Thor's hammer was an awesome moment. And he's a great side character in Civil War as well, joining Team Iron Man. But obviously his love interest, Scarlet Witch, is on Team Cap. And so there's that really interesting interplay between Vision and Scarlet Witch. They have a great romance as well. At number 21 is going to be Rhodey, aka War Machine, played by Don Cheadle. War Machine is another veteran from Iron Man 2. The casting changes of Rhodey are definitely frustrating with Terrence Howard and Don Cheadle, but both are great, but I prefer Terrence Howard. That's just me. I love Terrence Howard. But Don Cheadle's great as well as War Machine, kick-ass. Really funny, he's definitely loyal to Tony Stark, they're really good friends. And War Machine became a huge factor in Endgame, where War Machine was teaming up with Nebula and going to Morag, which was awesome. War Machine hasn't made a lot of sacrifices as much, except in Civil War when he gets severely injured and almost dies. I want War Machine to really make more sacrifices, and so that's why the character's so low on the list. At number 20, the top 20 is going to be Sam Wilson, aka Falcon. Anthony Mackie, he's so funny, such a funny guy. And Falcon's a great character. His introduction in Winter Soldier was great. I love his friendship with Steve Rogers. And the character, same as War Machine, has been more side character. We haven't seen a lot of sacrifices for the character of Falcon. He's getting his own Disney streaming service show with Winter Soldier. So I'm looking forward to seeing Falcon and Sebastian Stan team up again. And it was great at the end of Endgame when Cap gives Falcon the shield, because I think Sam Wilson deserves it. I think he's been great all around as a character, and he's been very loyal to Steve. I can understand why Bucky didn't get it, but Sam's awesome. Coming in number 19 is going to be Groot, and all versions of Groot, adult, teenage, and baby Groot. Groot is just a really likable tree. In the first Guardians, I would say adult Groot is definitely the best version, because how in the hell would I cry at the end for a talking tree that says 3 words, I am Groot? That's definitely like Game of Thrones. Why would I care about Hodor, a guy who just says 1 word, Hodor? And it works here. Groot's an awesome character. Adult Groot was awesome. Vin Diesel. Baby Groot was so adorable, and Baby Groot stole a lot of scenes in Volume 2. Teenage Groot is definitely the weakest Groot. He does nothing in Infinity War. And Endgame, he does nothing. So I really hope in Volume 3 they continue to do with Teenage Groot. They have Teenage Groot do more awesome stuff instead of playing on a freaking DSL game. Coming in number 18 is Loki. Now before you guys comment down below, what, Ryan, Loki's not a hero. Well, Loki, guys, he's going to be in both of these lists because Loki is an anti-hero in Thor Ragnarok. And so Loki in the hero side has been really good. I mean, in Thor Ragnarok, he's an anti-hero and not the main villain. His team-ups with Thor, even though they're at odds most of the time, and Tom Hiddleston makes both sides work. In Thor Ragnarok, he may do some funny Loki-isms, but in Infinity War is when he sacrifices his life to be good. He sacrifices his life for Thor and gets killed by Thanos. He snaps his neck. And so Loki dies a hero at the end. And I think Loki is hands down the most compelling and has the best character arc in all of the MCU. Loki is such an interesting and likable, awesome character. And I think he deserves to be on a hero and villains list. Number 17, Drax the Destroyer, played by Dave Bautista. Now, Drax in the first Guardians was so awesome. Thank God they did not spoil any of his jokes in the trailers, because Dave Bautista, a WWE wrestler coming into acting, was a huge risk. And Bautista's perfect as Drax. He's so funny and badass. Volume 2 is the joke box Drax. I did not like Drax in Volume 2 that much. He's just throwing out jokes and not throwing any punches. Like, come on. Infinity War, he was so much better, I think. He's doing a lot of action as well as throwing out jokes. I mean, I think he's better in Infinity War. And in Endgame, there wasn't much of Drax, but still, Drax, I really hope they do a better job at balancing both characteristics. So, coming in number 16 is Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, played by Chris Pratt. Now, Star-Lord in the first Guardians was really charismatic and funny. Chris Pratt is perfectly cast in the role, and he's had a very sad childhood with the passing of his mother to cancer, and so we really cared about Peter Quill in the first movie. In Volume 2, he was kind of on the ins and outs of unlikable and stuff. In Infinity War, he's the sole reason of why Thanos wins, if you can argue that. But I can understand why Star-Lord freaked out. I mean, he lost his girlfriend, he lost his mother, he lost his father's crazy, so I completely understand why Peter Quill flipped out at Thanos. But he could have been smarter, I agree. But then when Star-Lord comes back in Endgame and has those conversations with Thor once again, I love his interactions with Thor when he imitates him in Infinity War. But still, I think Star-Lord's an awesome character, but he is a little bit lower compared to others. Coming in number 15 is Gamora, played by Zoe Saldana. I love Gamora. I think she's great character all around. And in the first Guardians, she may come across as too serious, but I think Gamora has a very sad backstory, and I think her backstory is well explained in Infinity War. She's gone through so much. She was abandoned, she was taken by Thanos, and Thanos is her father, not really her father, and so she's just been tortured her whole life. And her sister Nebula, they've had a really serious rift their whole life, and it's just great to see them interact. And Gamora, when she has to sacrifice herself in Infinity War, she doesn't want to die, but it's just a powerful moment for Thanos and Gamora. I think Gamora was great in Endgame as well. Coming number 14 is Nebula. Now, Nebula is over Gamora because I love the development on this character. In the first Guardians, she was a villain, but then she turns into an anti-hero in Volume 2, and I think the character is not a bad person at all. She also has gone through a lot in her childhood with Thanos, and she was brutally tortured by Thanos when she was younger, but the character has had great development with Gamora and Thanos and every character. The best was definitely Endgame. Nebula played a huge part in Endgame, and I thought Karen Gillan gave her best acted performance in Endgame. Coming in number 13 is Scarlet Witch, aka Wanda Maximoff. Scarlet Witch is an amazing character. I love Elizabeth Olsen. She's lost her brother, Quicksilver, which was very sad, but Scarlet Witch just becomes well acquainted with the Avengers team. In Civil War, she was great. And to see her build-ups to Infinity War, she's become a very powerful, unstoppable character when she needs to get stuff done. In Infinity War, she has to make the ultimate of all sacrifices and kill her boyfriend, which is Vision. Just that powerful moment when she's taken the stone out of Vision's forehead. It's so sad. But Endgame paid that off when she almost kills Thanos. Is like, you took everything from me. Coming in number 12 is going to be Hawkeye, aka Clint Barton, aka Ronan, whichever one you want to call him. I'll call him Hawkeye. I mean, at the first Avengers movie, this was the lamest out of all the Avengers. I mean, come on. A guy shooting bow and arrows, that guy's not interesting. We've seen that before. We've seen that with Legolas in Lord of the Rings. Like, come on, Marvel. But man, they proved me wrong. Hawkeye is an awesome character. He gets so much development in Age of Ultron. The dude's got a family. He's got to support his family, right? I mean, Jeremy Renner is awesome as Hawkeye. And a lot of people were sad, including me, that he wasn't in Infinity War. And I'm like, wait till Endgame. He's going to be awesome in Endgame. And he was awesome in Endgame. His family's gone. They turned to dust. You feel so bad for Hawkeye. And he's just gone on this murderous streak as Ronin, killing all these assassins. Like, why did my family turn to dust when all these people should have? I love Hawkeye's progression. Coming number 11 is going to be Doctor Strange, or Dr. Stephen Strange. Doctor Strange, man, his origin story, I wasn't the biggest fan of. His solo movie, Doctor Strange, I thought it's the most overrated MCU movie. The character, his arrogance and all that, just didn't really feel it. I felt like he was too similar to Tony Stark and Thor, but man, Infinity War proved me wrong. I love Doctor Strange now. Just all his scenes in Infinity War were awesome. His comedy with Tony Stark, their personalities clashing together were awesome, and Peter Parker as well were great. And man, that fight with him and Thanos on Titan with all their powers were completely awesome. Doctor Strange is the most important character in Infinity War and Endgame because he's the man that saw 14,605 possibilities, and so he saw this whole thing coming. Coming in at number 10 is going to be Rocket Raccoon, voiced by Bradley Cooper. Man, just like Groot in the first Guardians, why should I care about a talking raccoon? That's voiced by Bradley Cooper. But man, Rocket's awesome. He was great in every movie he's been in. The first Guardians, he's the scene stealer. I love Rocket. He's such an interesting, awesome character. In Volume 2 is where they really developed his character, because Rocket's the one that stole the batteries. He's the reason why the Sovereign are chasing after them. But still, the character's very interesting. I love his interactions. In his riff with Peter Quill in Volume 2 and with Yondu as well. His interactions with Thor, the rabbit is correct. It's so good. I love Rocket in Infinity War. In Endgame, he played such a huge part in Endgame. His conversations, again with Fat Thor and with Ant-Man, and with the rest of the Avengers were awesome. And so, Rocket's just become a well-developed, all-around Guardian, and I can't wait to see him in Volume 3. Coming in at number 9 is going to be Scott Lang, aka Ant-Man, played by Paul Rudd. First of all, a comedian playing a superhero. We've seen that with Chris Pratt, but still, I thought Paul Rudd was perfect casting as Ant-Man. He was so great in his solo movie. So relatable. He's just a father coming out of prison, wanted to support his daughter. I love all his interactions with Captain America. I love when he just talks to Cap and he's just, oh man, I thought it was a water truck. Then he turns into Giant Man in the airport battle. He has no idea where Hank, Hope, and Janet went. He's stuck in the quantum realm, and so he gets out of the quantum realm by a freaking rat. That was great, and so to see him in Endgame play a huge part and help the Avengers use time travel with the quantum realm was great. Coming in number 8 is going to be Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, White Wolf. Sebastian Stan, what a very interesting character. Bucky in the first Captain America movie, I love his friendship with Steve Rogers. That's the highlight for me. Becomes the Winter Soldier, and Winter Soldier, this assassin, murderous villain. And so he's mind twisted by Hydra, and just to see the character from Civil War grow as well as the main target, he's being hunted by a bunch of people. See him come back in Infinity War as the White Wolf was definitely cool to see as well. In Endgame as well, not much of Bucky in that movie. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that streaming service with him and Falcon. That will be really cool to see, and more development on such a great character. Coming in number 7 is going to be Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, played by Mark Ruffalo. I love the Hulk. Ever since Mark Ruffalo, the recasting in 2012's The Avengers, has grown on from there. The Hulk was awesome in the first Avengers movie. Just doing a bunch of things that we didn't see coming. Him throwing around Loki like a rag doll and punching Thor in the face were so awesome to see. And in Age of Ultron, just coming back and being awesome, fighting the Hulkbuster Tony Stark was so great. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. We were all disappointed with Hulk in Infinity War and Endgame. I wasn't. Infinity War, he fights Thanos one-on-one. He gets his ass beat, and Hulk just doesn't want to come out. It's just Bruce Banner the rest of Infinity War. And then in Endgame, he becomes Professor Hulk. I love Professor Hulk. I thought he was great. But yes, I get people's criticisms with Professor Hulk. They wanted a Hulk and Thanos rematch. But still, I love the character Hulk all around, Bruce Banner. Coming in number 6 is going to be Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, played by Scarlett Johansson. What a great character. She comes off in Iron Man 2 as not an interesting character at all, and has grown her way up to the first Avengers as the only female on that team. And Scarlett Johansson's great, but she's really been kind of a sideline character in the first half of the MCU. But really where she came in her own was in Winter Soldier. I thought she was great in Winter Soldier. Her and Cap teaming up together all the way up to Infinity War. I love that women fight with her, Okoye, and Scarlet Witch against Proxima Midnight. That was great. But Endgame was definitely hands down the best of Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. I thought she was fantastic. And when she dies in Endgame, that was a shocking death I didn't see coming at all. She sacrifices her life to get the Soul Stone back. And this character has had a really up and down road in development. I think the character is a really strong character. I think Scarlett Johansson has to be praised for that because she's great as the character. Now we're in the top 5. Coming in at number 5 is going to be T'Challa, aka Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, played by Chadwick Boseman. I love Black Panther. This character is awesome. I mean, what a strong character introduction in Civil War. He's just a guy who's out for revenge against Bucky Barnes, who he thinks killed his father, T'Chaka, in that explosion in Vienna. And this character is out a lot of blood and vengeance for revenge if somebody does something wrong to him. Then we go to his solo film in Black Panther. A lot of people complain that he's not that badass and awesome. I disagree. He wasn't on that much revenge. He had to face off against Killmonger, his cousin. There was a really strong connection between them because his father, King T'Chaka, murdered his uncle. But I think at the point where T'Challa is right now, all the way up to Infinity War, where we all didn't expect Black Panther be one of the people turned to dust, and to him being the first member to come back in that amazing moment in Endgame, I'm looking forward to more Black Panther. Black Panther 2, give it to me right now. At number 4 is going to be Thor, the God of Thunder. Yes. Starting off in 2011 was definitely my least favorite Avenger. I didn't care about Thor. Like, who cared about Thor, honestly, during the first phase? I mean, he's just a guy with blonde hair and has a freaking hammer. But man, I was proven wrong. Kenneth Branagh made the character so awesome in the first Thor and the Avengers as well. His fight against Hulk was awesome. His fight against Iron Man was great. And Chris Hemsworth, perfect casting as the character. Thor the Dark World was very underwhelming. There wasn't any development to Thor at all. And to see Thor come back in Thor Ragnarok was where we got to see more of Thor go on a different side, a comedic side. But definitely the best of Thor was Infinity War. I mean, we can all praise, bring me Thanos! Like, this was Thor, like, he's lost everything. He lost his brother, his mother, his father, his hammer. This guy has lost everything. And to see him finally get Stormbreaker and finally say, bring me Thanos. I know some people don't like Fat Thor, but I'm okay if we get more of this awesome Fat Thor. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Tom Holland, when I found out he was cast, I was a little worried. A younger actor playing Spider-Man, it seemed like they were going to go in that route, but I was completely surprised with Spider-Man. I thought he was great in Civil War. His interactions with Tony Stark are great, and then in Spider-Man Homecoming, he got his own movie. And Tom Holland has really grown as the character. He's so likable and so relatable. A teenage kid as a superhero, there's stuff he wants to do, but as a superhero, he has to do. Infinity War, he interacts with so many new people, including Doctor Strange and the Guardians of the Galaxy, which were awesome. And when he died at the end of Infinity War, a lot of people were shocked when he turned to dust, and then he came back strong in Endgame, and he lost his mentor, Tony Stark. And in Far From Home, he has to deal with Tony Stark's loss and become the new Iron Man and just fight his own battles. And I love Spider-Man, and I think Tom Holland is the definitive Spider-Man after Far From Home. Coming in at number 2 is going to be Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, the man that started the whole MCU off strong. I mean, Robert Downey Jr., I can't say much about the character. I mean, you know, Iron Man, a character that was unknown, and Robert Downey Jr. made it his own. Amazing in Iron Man. Iron Man 2 was and the Avengers being the most iconic Avenger of them all. Robert Downey Jr. as the character is perfectly well cast. And to see Tony Stark's journey from the first Iron Man all the way up to Endgame, starting off as a cocky asshole and grow all the way up to being a strong hero that cares about people at the end. All the way to Infinity War and to Endgame as well, sacrificing his life to save everybody he loves. And that's why I cried so much at Tony Stark's death, because the character means so much to me. I love Robert Downey Jr. as the character, and he's... nothing else needs to be said. And my number 1 favorite is still Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. Captain America is a fantastic hero. I mean, another character that seemed unpopular, but it was proven wrong in First Avenger, all the way up to the Boy Scout, and then he goes to the first Avengers movie, becomes a main part of that crew. And then he gets frozen in ice in First Avenger, goes all the way to the Avengers, and just comes back strong in Winter Soldier, being a huge part of that movie and stopping any bad guy who will do any harm to him. And so in Civil War as well, having a huge strong argument against the Accords. He believes in what he believes, has that rift with Tony Stark, and going into Infinity War, not believing in the Captain America name. And then in Endgame, he has to be the one to stand up and say, we got to get our heroes back. We use the time travel, do what we can. And Captain America going all the way to lifting Thor's hammer and saving everybody at the end. And also wanted to live a normal life. So he grows old and lives the life he's always wanted. There you have it, guys. That was my ranking of all 37 MCU heroes. That was the biggest ranking video I've ever done. I am tired. I am sick. I feel like I'm gonna die. I have one more ranking video to do. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions on my list, and let me know your list down below in the comment section. Thank you guys as always for watching this video. All my social media links are in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!